I've made over $14.2 million to this date, and I never showed my face. So I'm making this video to help you understand how you can do the exact same thing, and you can copy along if you so choose to, but I can't really force you to do whatever the hell you want. So you're probably wondering, who the hell is this guy and why you should listen to me? And that is a very valid question, and I can tell you right now, you don't have to. I can't force you to do what it is you don't want to do. But my name is Paul Joseph. I've been in online space for nearly a decade now, and this whole channel is basically revolving around my experience as I progressed throughout the journey of building a business from literally $0 all the way up to 14.2 to this date, and never having shown my face. And as you see in the background, I don't know where I'm pointing at, but there should be like a ClickFunnels award there somewhere. If you've been in online space for any matter of time, you already know that is a $10 million award, having verified and confirmed that the business has generated over 8 figures. I can't even get my numbers right. But yeah, not here to brag, not here to boast. I'm just here to tell you that this whole channel is to help you understand what I've gone through, the experience I've gone through, and hopefully you can get some value out of this so you can utilize it for your own way if you really truly want to build an online business that actually makes you a lot of money. Because I myself do truly believe, and I'm pretty sure you heard this from lots of other people as well, that the best way to do that is to build your own personal brand. And that is where the biggest misconception lies, is in that word personal. Because it rationally makes sense in a logical basis that when you hear personal, you think of just yourself. And I'm here to tell you right now that you don't, because that's what I've done for multiple different years. I was never the face of it. And the best way to frame this properly to help you understand why is that I got to angle it, was kind of like angled in a music producer way. So I'm pretty sure you guys are like close to my age, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger. Don't care. But pretty sure you know who Dr. Dre is. And if you don't, just Google him really quick. You'll figure it out who he is. But he was the guy that created, not genetically, like Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent. There's a whole bunch more I can't really think of, but think of it that way. The face of the business was those 3 guys, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and 50 Cent. And in the background was the music producer, who's Dr. Dre. So they kind of worked in conjunction with each other to make a business come together and make a lot of money. Both the face of it and Dr. Dre, who was in the background. And that's kind of like where I lied. Ben, the thing is, if you're okay with not being famous and you're not being the person in front of the camera all the time while still making a lot of money, go down this path. I know that's kind of contradicting to what I'm doing right now because I am on camera at this point in time, but I just want to help you guys understand that there are different ways to go about this, and you can do the exact same thing if you so choose to. And it's easier than you think. And this whole video is just to go through a backstory to help you understand like how it came into fruition, into reality as it is today. And hopefully you can get some inspiration out of this, because honestly, it's easier than ever to make a lot of money, such as that guy right there, to do it for yourself as well. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to hide this. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You got to put in some work. You got to put in some effort. And I know that's like a 4-letter word that people are scared of, is work. But if you're not willing to put in any effort, then you're not going to get anywhere. And you might as well just accept the fact that you're going to be where you are. And I'm not trying to say that in a dickhead way, but it's just what it is. Now, prior to all this, I just want you to understand that how people consume education is very, very different now. Education as a whole is still something that every single human on earth today still requires and still wants to learn. But it's just how we take it in now is completely different. Because if you look at reality, even though you've been probably told, myself included, that from your parents, from like authority figures in your life, that the best way for you to be successful is to go to like school, get good grades, get a good job, get promoted, and work your way up the ladder, and you can buy your white picket fence with like a dog and 2 kids, whatever the case is. And that's what they would be successful. But let's face it, that doesn't work no more. It hasn't worked for like over 150 years because the school system is kind of messed up. It's just leaving a lot of people in a big mountain of debt, and they're not even using the skills that they actually learned. So that is why this whole big boost in like the online education space is blowing up, regardless of how you feel about it or not, because let's face it, there's always going to be bad apples in everything that we do. But I'm here to tell you that I've gone through that exact same path, and I know exactly what's happened from literally starting from 0 all the way up to 8 figures. And I want to share that with you to help you understand that it's easy for you to do as long as you're willing to put in some effort, some time, and some like work. And it's easier than that. Regardless of all that, just a quick backstory to myself and to like the face of the business and how this all came together is that myself, I had my first taste of like entrepreneurship when I was in like high school. Uh, Getting out of high school is going to be like kind of messed up, but my first taste of entrepreneurship came from high school where I needed to make more money, and I tried a bunch of like odd jobs as like a gas station attendant, a stock boy, and getting bossed around and hating the crap out of my bosses, and realizing that the best thing for me to do was to find my own way to make money. And what I found back then, and not trying to be a dick here, but I had to sell drugs. And back then, weed or marijuana was like the best solution for that. So I did that for quite a long time, all throughout my high school years, and I made like over 6 figures. And as a teenager, that was a lot of money. But that gave me like a really good taste of being the boss, being the person that I wanted to be, being the one that made my own money, and that was amazing. But it kind of like all fell apart because I kind of had to run in with like authority figures, and then you can probably guess what the rest happened there. But after that, I was accepted into like an institute because I was never accepted into like colleges, universities. I was just not too smart. I was never even given the privilege of a letter of like rejection saying that I could not be accepted anywhere. So I was just forced into this entrepreneurship journey. But needless to say, during that time, I was really into cars, much like I'm pretty sure like 90% of men are in this world today. So I went into this institute, not a mental one, and I learned to become a mechanic. It was a very short period, like very short program, and I did that for 2 years. I passed enough to get that little piece of paper. I have no idea what it's called. I think it's the diploma, I think. But anyways, I became a mechanic, and I went to a dealership, this Cadillac dealership, did it for 6 months, and ended up hating it. Like so much so because I had like all these like grease marks in my fingers, and you're like, oh yeah, you gotta wear gloves and all that kind of stuff. But it just felt uncomfortable. I don't like working my hands. But yeah, so I decided I hated it, even though I thought I liked cars, and that just turned me off to working on cars for the rest of my life. So I kind of transitioned out of that because my boss realized that I was really good at talking with people. I was really good at selling. So I got into becoming like a service advisor for a little while. Actually did that for 7 years. I basically made commission from people who came in and got your car serviced with myself, and I made a lot of money, like 6 figures every single year. And that was what I thought was gonna be like the rest of my life, my career, my job security. And needless to say, during that time, I got that dealership from like the 54th place in freaking Canada all the way up to number 4, all by myself. And I made the most amount of money as a service advisor in across all those dealerships in the entire nation. But my job was cut short because they started cutting back my commissions, and I was forced into getting out of that. So I transitioned into a cable guy. I installed cable, internet, TV for a bunch of people, and I did that for about 9 years. I liked the job. It paid very well, like $150K every single year, and I enjoyed it. I liked working with my hands. It wasn't dirty. I went to people's houses. I got to chat with different people. It was an experience in its whole, and I did that for a very long time. But I got laid off, and it's because like technology made my position obsolete, where people can just come in, get the equipment, like their digital boxes for the TV, their modems, the phone box, and they can just install it themselves without having a technician or a cable guy like myself come in. So my job was gone. And I was forced into this really weird state because, let's face it, if you've ever been laid off, it's a very traumatic experience for you. And I've gone through that. It was like months of deep depression and just having like no idea where to go. So also during this time, I had a partner who was my girlfriend at that time. She also got laid off. But during that transition, I forgot to mention, is that myself and her, we were doing a bunch of like online businesses. And we got into like eBay. We made a lot of money in eBay. And funny enough, what we did was we sold a bunch of like Kinder eggs to people in America, because in Canada, it's not banned. But if you sell it in the US, you can make a bunch of money. I'm not sure if it's still banned today. I'm pretty sure it still is. You can look at that yourself. But yeah, we made a killing just on eBay selling little Kinder surprises across the border. So we did that for quite a while until got caught and the whole account got shut down. But yeah, that was another taste of entrepreneurship, both for us, and we kept on going to that. But we also tried out Shopify dropshipping by selling like women's clothing, because at that time it was like a lot of women are super into like the whole promiscuous look, and they kind of still are today. So made a bunch of money from that. So we bought a bunch of like cheap products from like China and sold it online on like Facebook Marketplace. Made our own online store, made some money with that too. It was pretty damn good. And yeah, so I kind of enjoyed doing that for a bit. But that kind of had to go down too, because sales started to dwindle. We got into like affiliate marketing, did that for a little bit of time. Didn't make as much money because I realized that affiliate marketing was just, the payouts were just tiny. And you need like a massive, massive audience to actually make a significant impact. And if you're just starting out, it's like the worst thing you can do. And I have no idea how people make a lot of money in affiliate marketing without an actual audience and having lost a shirt in advertising and all that kind of stuff. Needless to say, what we found the best success in before we both got laid off was Amazon FBA. So we sold a lot of baby products online on like at the Amazon FBA store. We made a killing because if you really think about it, I myself I'm a parent right now, and I would spend whatever amount of money for my babies, for my kids, because they're my kids. I'm pretty sure if you're a parent yourself too, you'd understand, and you'd probably just find something online on Amazon and you'd probably just spend the money. And that's kind of like what we raked a ton of money from. So we did that for like a good year prior to myself getting laid off and prior to her getting laid off. So we did that for a bunch of time, and we just got really good at it. And we kind of had to restock over and over again, and we made a bunch of money. But when we both got laid off, we were both forced into this situation where neither one of us had enough education in our brain to actually get accepted to anything. So we were literally both in the same situation, going through like this very traumatic stage, going through like really weird, odd jobs to get by. And during that time, making some money with Amazon. So I found this thing, I just went online and went on YouTube, funny enough, and typed in how to make money online. And this was like back in 2017, 2018. And what I found was just a bunch of different ways. But what I saw was like Amazon FBA. And during that time, I was still kind of like growing. And I'm like, holy shit, I see a lot of guys making a ton of money selling their knowledge online on Amazon about Amazon FBA. I'm like, I can do the exact same thing. So I tried it out. I did it for about 6 months doing like these YouTube videos. I no longer have them uploaded, but if I can find them, I'll show it to you. It's super cringy. And did it for a bit of time, but couldn't get enough traction. Okay, I know I should have stuck around with it a little bit longer, but what I found the problem was, funny enough, was that still today, if you go into the Amazon FBA niche, just type it into YouTube, you'll just see that the whole category, the whole niche is just dominated with men. It's all men's faces most of the time. Actually, like 99.9% of the time during that time was all men, all dominated by men. And since my partner and I had a lot of experience selling on Amazon already, we had made money, we had the experience, we had the knowledge, we had the skill sets to do it. We're like, holy shit, I think we have an opportunity here if we get a female on board. If we get an actual female in a male-dominated niche on YouTube on this specific topic, which is Amazon FBA, I think we'd crush it. So I spent months trying to convince my partner, who is now my wife, by the way, to get online, to get on YouTube, to start talking about Amazon. And even though I spent 6 months at it, I had like 3,000 views. She spent literally 2 weeks and had 6,000 views. I'm like, holy shit, I think we have something going on here. So we doubled down, we kept on going. We just kept on making more videos, kept on helping other people. We reached out to a bunch of people. We had a lot of people reach out to us, and we just kept on growing it further and further. And we just slowly progressed into what it was at that point in time before we actually exited and sold the brand. Because it grew to a point where we're actually getting offers from other companies to actually buy it out. So we eventually sold it about a couple years ago, and that's kind of like how it all ended. But regardless of all that, during that time, we chose that niche, which was Amazon, because it was blowing up. And without even on a very subconscious level for many people that go onto YouTube, looking to make money online, especially with Amazon FBA, Amazon in itself had built up like a massive amount of trust on its just name. And everyone knows if you work with Amazon, you can make a lot of money because all you have to really do is just find a product for cheap. You can buy it from China which we did, and you can ship it into Amazon FBA, and then Amazon already had built up this massive client base that people would just keep on buying from, and that's literally what we did. So we helped other people do the exact same thing, and before we actually exited the business, we had about 4,600 students doing literally the exact same thing, and that's kind of like how we grew our online education business to over $14 million. So we found a lot of success with that. But during that time too, a lot of sacrifices had to be made because, well, growing a business kind of like puts a hiatus on a lot of other things on your personal level because, again, like we kind of thought about following the exact same path that everyone else, being in like our early 20s, mid-20s, late 20s, was to get into like having a family, having kids, and we kind of had to postpone that for a very long time. So that's kind of like a sacrifice that we had to try to do. So yeah, everything just boiled down to literally picking a niche that was kind of emerging, and that was an Amazon FBA, and really just doing a really tiny change where we inserted a female into that niche, that category, when it was dominated by men. And a quick hack for you right now, if you are a female watching this video, if you are willing to go through some effort to get yourself out there, if you're okay with getting in front of the camera, being a little bit cringe in the beginning, because let's face it, you get better as you progress, you get better as you just keep doing the exact same thing. Through repetition, you just get better. Just be okay with the fact that your first few videos will suck, much like mine. But as long as you're okay with that, you can make a lot of money on YouTube as a female in practically any niche. Because if you look online on YouTube right now, just literally go on, type in whatever the hell you want. I can tell you right now, like 90% of them will just be all men. So women are very underserved. And let's face it, women like to work with women. Women love to work with the same sex. Same with guys that want to work with other guys. It's a very subconscious level. I know some people may disagree, but overall, that is literally what the case is, because we made a lot of money just basically raking up 50% of the population, which was female, because the other 50%, since there's only men and women, was basically for us, which is all female. And that just killed it. So during that time, I can tell you, like, the little progression that we went through, we didn't really have any experience selling education at that time. And this was like 2018, 2019. So we made an offer, and funny enough, we built a pretty decent following or subscriber base for the channel. We waited until we had at least 1,000 subscribers before we made an offer. And the first time we made an offer to a program that we literally slapped together in like a couple weeks, literally made in the very first day over $32,000. It was nuts. I'll try to find a little screenshot. I'll put it up here just to show you, but it was insane. And that kind of gave us a really good idea to keep on pushing, keep on doubling down. So we did that for a bunch of time. And what happened was we did that for a few more months, but the sales, we thought we're just gonna keep on making like 32 grand each and every single time. Obviously, reality kicked in instantly the very next day, and like next week when we realized that that definitely was not sustainable. People are not gonna keep on paying us each and every single time. It's basically like the first comers. But during that time, we sold that program for about $500, $497 exactly, and we had a bunch of people come in. And there's a bunch of little things that we actually put up as well, and a lot of people snagged it up. It was awesome. It was awesome. And but sales is super inconsistent. So we started to learn a little bit further into how to build like funnels, how to build like a website, and it was still kind of struggling. So that kind of went on for a few more months, but we started to still see some consistent income to the point where we made like over 50K in like a span of a couple months. So it was a good indication for us to keep on going. Needless to say, what happened there is, since we had some excess capital, we decided to work with people who are way ahead of us and start to learn from them, because we just didn't know what we didn't know. There was no way we could solve the problems if we never experienced it and never found a solution to it. So the best way we could do was we started hiring mentors. We started listening to other people that actually knew what they're doing. We paid them quite a bunch of money, and to this date, I think we've spent like basically $250,000 just on mentors in itself. And that's been the best like exchange or trade-off that we've ever done. Because again, would you spend $250,000 if it'll get you 8 figures? Would you? Not sure what I'm pointing to. Would you? I think that's a fantastic trade-off, but that's really up to you to decide. So regardless of all that, we started building like a website We built a funnel the proper way. We worked with a mentor very closely. We got the better idea of how to actually structure everything. We understand how to do the marketing, the messaging, how to do outreach, how to do like DMs, how to set up basically how like the machine could work in the background without us having to constantly be like behind the wheel, steering it from crashing into like rocks or whatever. Stupid metaphor, by the way. I don't know why I even said that. But yeah, so we learned to build a webinar. So our webinar back then was like 2 hours long. And I remember editing that, so it was just such a painful process. But yeah, our first attempt at a webinar went really well because it made us literally like 50 grand within a very short period of time. And we just kept on improving the product. We kept on leveling up. We kept on putting more value in, putting more content in, making things more done for you. We raised the price from 500 when it first started out to 800 or 797 to 997 to 1997. And we did that for a good, probably about a year and a half, 2 years. And up to that point, before we progressed into a different stage, we were just running webinars. It was fully automated. It was people just can check out by themselves. There was literally zero interaction for us. And it was all done through YouTube, fully organic, making 6 figures profit every single month. And we literally made like over $2 million just from a fully automated webinar. So it was amazing. It was a great time because, well, who the hell doesn't like passive income? You can just wake up in the morning and you're like, I just made some money. It was awesome. So we went through that for a good long time. And then it came to the point where we just looked at each other and we're like, we are bored. There is nothing else for us to do. We would like to make more money because who the hell doesn't want to make more money? I don't know anyone on planet Earth that would refuse to take $100 from me if I just walked up to them in the middle of the street and be like, here's $100. Would you take it? I'm pretty sure 99.9% of them would just be like, sure, if there's no catch, I'll take it. You probably would too, so don't freaking lie to me. So we came to like this crossroads in the slow transition where we had to decide what to do going forward because we wanted to get into like a whole different model. So webinars did really well for us, and we definitely want to keep on going through that. But we were torn between living easy and making some money, which was a lot of money for the majority of people, or making more money and putting a little bit more effort. So we decided to go down the little harder route to some people's belief, and we hired a different mentor. We actually worked with a guy named Cole Gordon. So prior to this, we were working with a guy named Alex Becker, who helped us with a webinar, helped us understand how to structure it all together. We worked with him for a very long time. He's the one that actually helped us understand how to build it all up. Guy's a genius, by the way. And today, if you actually know who he is, he's built like a 9-figure SaaS business with like Hyros. I'm not going to get into that. That's irrelevant at this time. But anyways, back to the story. We started working with a guy named Cole Gordon, who at that time was just like the sprouting entrepreneur who was all about sales calls. So we got into building our own sales call funnel, got into calls ourselves, me and her, and we started just taking calls. We increased the price. We gave more value. We made the product even better. We made the offer even better. We started understanding how to market it properly. We had to change a lot of things up. We had to change the structure of things. We had to basically ditch the whole webinar model and reshuffle and put everything into the sales call funnel because they're kind of two different beasts. One is easier if you can get it hyper optimized, which we did for the webinar, but it takes a lot more time. Whereas with a sales call, they're different because the only thing that's like the biggest limitation to your sales calls is that in order for you to scale, you have to have more bodies, like more human bodies, because you need people to take the calls. Whereas in order for you to scale the webinar, you just need to optimize and make everything proper with like your front end offer, your front end funnel. You get that all like properly tuned to be a machine, which we did. And that can just keep on running over and over and over again, which it did. But again, we just got bored. So switching over to the sales call funnel was significantly easier because going from like a two-hour webinar, basically selling the product, down to like 20-minute video sales letter, VSL, was so much easier. But the marketing, the whole angle, the whole messaging was completely different because instead of selling a product and a webinar for 2 hours, we sold the call for 20 minutes. And that's basically what got people interested to getting and booking a call with the company. And that's who they speak to. It's either myself, my business partner, or some of our closers. And that's what we did for 3 years. Yeah. So that actually in itself, just the sales call funnel alone, I can tell you right now, just made a freaking killing. And this is all around the exact same product as before. We just made it better. We just made it more improved. We provided more checklists. We provided more done-for-you elements in it just to make it more enticing for the customers that we had or the clients that came in to actually pay. So even though we topped out at $1997 for the webinar, which is kind of like the highest amount you can go during that time for a make money online offer, we switched it over to a sales call funnel. Before we upped the price, we made it better. We added more elements. We went from $2,000 to $3,500. And again, I'm going to tell you right now, we spent, holy crap, about a whole month just arguing with each other, trying to figure out what should we do? Should we increase the price to that amount? Because it was just such a big mental block, like a limiting belief to us as a whole, because we didn't really know if people were going to take it. Because to ourselves, we felt like it was just such a big jump. It was almost 2x what it was from $2,000. So that took a lot of mindset reforming, I guess, with our mentor, who was cool and helped us understand, like, in order for you to actually progress, in order for you to get more results, in order for you to make more money, in order for your clients to be more happy, you got to increase price. And funny enough, he was right, because what we realized in retrospect, and what I realized as well, is that the cheaper your product is, you attract like not as good clients. They're more inclined to expect the world from you, even though they're not paying as much. But when you charge more, you get way better clients. People take it more seriously. Since they take it more seriously, they actually go through the program, they actually get results. And because they get results, that provides you with more testimonials, more results, which you can help like prove that your offer is better than everyone else, and you can increase price, which is the weirdest like contradiction in my mind. But to this day, I'm like, that's exactly what you gotta do. And it was like a really weird lesson to go through, but yeah. So we went from $3,500. We did that for a good 6 months. Started getting more reviews, starting getting more results from people, knew that our offer worked a lot. So we increased it to $4,500. So we did that for a few more months, kept on getting the same amount of conversions, kept on making the same amount of money. Our close rate never changed. In fact, it actually went up. So in order for you to actually understand, close rate for you as a whole, if you have a sales call funnel right now, you should definitely be like closing at about a 32%. So that means like every person you speak to live on a call, you should be closing 1 in 3 each and every single time. That is a good benchmark. That's a good KPI that you should be following. If you don't have that, then there's probably something wrong with your offer. Maybe there's something wrong with your salesperson. Maybe there's something, if you're the one taking the call, maybe there's something possibly wrong with you. I'm not trying to be a dick about it, or maybe your price is just too high. But needless to say, during that time, with the price increase from $3,500 to $4,500, our close rate remained exactly the same, which was hovering around 34%, which is amazing because we made more money with every single person we closed, and nothing ever changed. So we increased it again from 45 to 48. Same thing, didn't notice any big changes, kept on making things better, kept on improving the product, made it even more condensed, made a bunch of changes, made a bunch of updates, because let's face it, business and life as a whole always evolves, always improves, always changes. So we have to keep up to that. And this is all while understanding that what the customers wanted and understanding what it is that they're looking for, because we had to go back to a bunch of them to have a better understanding of like, what is it exactly that you wanted? How can you improve it better to make you happy and to make us happy? And it was just a bunch of back and forth, and we did that over and over and over again for many years. And after that, kept on doing that for another few months. And we're just like, let's just keep on pushing the button, or keep pushing the limit to see how much further we can go. So from 4,800, went up to 5,800, kept the same exact close rate. Nothing ever changes. And by this time, COVID hit. And funny enough, when COVID hit, it was just like gasoline to the fire, because everything just exploded for a good amount of time. Because during that time, everyone was forced home. Everybody realized that the best thing for them to do is to just stay home and start a business online. And since we already had like a presence, we just kept on building up on that. And during COVID, we literally just made a killing. It was insane. Anyways, so we just kept on pushing that a little bit further. We pushed it to the point where we went up for 5,800 to 6,800, and we started to notice a drop in closes, but it wasn't too significant. We did that for a few clients. Did that for probably about a couple weeks, and then we're like, yeah, you know what? Let's just push it one last time just to see how far we can go. We went to 70 and 100. Close rates just dropped. We still got some people, but it was just flat out dead. So what happened there is that we brought it back down to 5,800, kept it at 5,800. Everything stabilized again, and we kept it at 58 for a very long time. And that's kind of like before we actually sold and exited and sold the brand to another business and made our exit. But that's kind of the whole story. And that's just to help you understand that during that whole time, we built the business just myself, my business partner, a team. We grew the team to about 15 people. We had 4,600 plus students, made $12 million during that time. And again, I did this without a face, without even showing my face, and basically just having the brand be someone else, which was my wife. And you can look this up yourself. It was sold, and that's kind of just like how we transitioned out of it. Because if you ever sell a business, I'm going to tell you right now, it's kind of like a little tangent, but if you ever look to sell a business, I can tell you that the whole transition out of that took us about a whole year, because you can't just like hand them over a business without like instructions manuals, without like an explanation of how to do anything, because that would just get you shot in the foot. So yeah, that was how it all done. So that is kind of like how it all came together. I appreciate you if you stuck around to the end of this video. Hopefully you found some insight in that. Hopefully you can learn how to understand how you can actually build your own online education business for yourself without being famous. But as long as you're okay with the fact that you may not be famous, completely up to you. You can still make a lot of money. Think of it like the music producer way, as in what I said to you in the very beginning, like Dr. Dre and having like Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and like 50 Cent being the face. You can still make a lot of money. And I'm here to tell you right now, if you want to learn how to do any of this, check out the link in the description down below. And yeah, I'll make sure to give you more content, more value. But if you need anything else, let me know.